In this video today, Politico runs another fake news story about Elon Musk. Bill O'Reilly tells the brutal truth about Trump's tariffs, and the DNC is suing Trump over voter ID laws. But let's actually hear this fake news story about Elon Musk.
We're going to turn now to the latest on Elon Musk and signs that he could be on his way out of his very high-profile role in the administration. Our chief White House correspondent, Mary Bruce, has more for us this morning. Good morning, Mary.
Good morning, Michael. Well, sources tell us that Elon Musk's days as President Trump's right-hand man here at the White House may soon be coming to an end. As a, quote, special government employee, Musk's appointment only lasts 130 days, but there had been hints that the president might want him to stay on longer. Musk and his Doge team have dominated the early days of this administration. His chainsaw approach to slashing jobs and government programs sparking outrage among many, though. And, of course, we saw voters in Wisconsin deliver Musk that firm rebuke earlier this week, rejecting his choice for the state's Supreme Court, even after Musk poured millions into the race. Now, the president himself has been indicating that Musk's time may be up. His term would end around the end of May, but the White House insists he is not being forced out, that the president continues to have strong support and belief in Musk and the work that he is doing. Robin.
We'll see what happens going forward. Mary, thank you.
All right, so I think it's no surprise that this story originated from Politico. So just think about what they're trying to tell you. They're trying to tell you that Trump is looking to shut down Doge and push out Elon Musk. That's the rhetoric here. But the fact of the matter is Elon Musk is a special government employee, and he's only authorized to work a max 130 days in 1 year. And 130 days obviously would be approaching in the next couple of months. And if you actually read the article, which is really short, it's a one-pager, they only have 2 quotes. And I'll read them to you, and you let me know if you think this is legit. Quote number 1 is this: "There's a lack of understanding about communications and why it's important that you massage things, that you talk about things, that you qualify things. They just don't do it," said one of the allies. Another quote: "They think he's a genius, but he's a one-man wrecking ball," added one longtime Trump advisor. That's the second quote. That's it, ladies and gentlemen. There's no quote from President Trump. There's no quote from the White House press secretary or Stephen Miller or Susie Wiles on the record saying things like that. Now, here's what the vice president said this morning in his interview with Fox News about Elon Musk.
I want to get to some other news because there were some reports that came out that Elon Musk is leaving. Now, of course, the president had already said he was only going to be here for a temporary basis.
Yeah.
Tell us about that. Doge will continue after Elon Musk. Will he still be an advisor to you and the president? I know y'all have a great relationship. Tell us about it.
Well, first of all, that report I saw was total fake news. Yeah. Elon came in and we said, we need you to make government more efficient. We need you to shrink the incredible, vast bureaucracy that thwarts the will of the American people, but also costs way too much money. And we said that's going to take about 6 months. And that's what Elon signed up for. But of course, he's going to continue to be an advisor. And by the way, the work of Doge is not even close to done. The work of Elon is not even close to done. You look at all of the fraudulent grants that they found. You look at people who are 150 years old, who are fraudulently collecting Social Security payments. You see our Social Security system, 40% of the people who are calling in are actually committing fraud. That means the 60% who need their Social Security checks are waiting in line. Doge has got a lot of work to do. And yeah, that work's going to continue after Elon leaves, but fundamentally, Elon is going to remain a friend and an advisor of both me and the president, and he's done a lot of good things.
All right, so the big question here is, why would the mainstream media run a news story like this? It's because of attention, clicks, trying to control the narrative about what's happening inside the Trump administration, even if it's based on false information. Who's really going to call them out? Who's really going to hold them accountable? Can they be held accountable? Absolutely not. So they'll make up these stories when they see fit. They'll stretch whatever truth that exists. And it is true that he's temporary, that he will leave eventually. And it's also true that he's done enough. We are now definitely aware of the fraud, waste, and abuse. There's no going back in regards to what he exposed. Now, here's how Bill O'Reilly sees it. Take a look.
Well, as I said very early on, Musk is a short timer. It's just too hot. You just can't have a guy that hot. And he did a good job exposing the government waste, bringing it back onto page 1. But now the technicians should take over. You don't need Elon to go out and sell it. It's sold. And most Americans know that we're being fleeced, the taxpayers being fleeced. So accomplish what he wanted to accomplish. And I think he'll remain a Trump advisor, but I do think he'll go back to the private sector.
All right. And of course, the White House press secretary also called this entire story garbage because Rachel Bade put on X yesterday. It's a scoop. President Trump has told his inner circle and members of his cabinet that Elon Musk will be stepping back in the coming weeks from his current role. And then the White House press secretary said Elon Musk and President Trump have both publicly stated that Elon will depart from public service as a special government employee when his incredible work at Doge is complete. Even Elon Musk followed up and said, yep, this is fake news. And it's really funny because in the comment section, people are pointing it out. I mean, how many more times are they going to attempt to turn Elon Musk and Trump against each other? Why haven't they given up already? Now, this takes us to our second story, and that is about Trump's tariffs. We already know there was 4 Republicans that sided with Democrats to block him from placing tariffs on Canada. We also know that Wall Street is reacting to these tariffs in a negative way. But what about the average American? Don't they matter? Here's what the vice president said this morning in his interview with Fox News.
We're going to have the biggest deregulation in the history of this country. We're doing a lot of things and already have done a lot of things to lower the cost of energy. You heard the president mention this yesterday. Eggs, when we came in, were at a 10-year high, and all of a sudden they've dropped 60% just in the 2 months of the Trump administration. What I'd ask folks to appreciate here is that we are not going to fix things overnight. Yeah. Joe Biden left us, this is not an exaggeration, Lawrence, with the largest peacetime debt and deficit in the history of the United States of America, with sky-high interest rates. You don't fix that stuff overnight. We know people are struggling. We're fighting as quickly as we can to fix what was left to us, but it's not going to happen immediately. But we really do believe that if we pursue the right deregulation, we pursue those energy cost-reducing policies, yes, people are going to see it in their pocketbook. They're also going to benefit from the fact that foreign countries can't take advantage of us anymore. That means their jobs are going to be more secure.
Tariffs is the same thing about recession. It's politically a nightmare. People in Washington, D.C. don't like recessions, even though technically a recession is necessary. If we had had a recession, let's say 2-3 years ago, prices would not be where they are today because it would have reset the value of things. Well, tariffs is in the same category. And what I mean by that is politically it's a nightmare because there's uncertainty on Wall Street. And when there's uncertainty, the market obviously reacts to that. But long term, it's absolutely necessary if you believe that American manufacturing jobs take top priority at this point, and we want to bring them back. Now, here's what Bill O'Reilly had to say about this.
The data is on Trump's side. We have been getting hosed since World War II. By the trade imbalance. And the reason that's been overlooked by most presidents, two reasons. Number one, way too complicated, way too risky to get involved with it. So you can do what Biden and Obama did, was just ignore it completely. In the first term, Trump tried a little, but the numbers are staggering. And the best part of Trump's speech today was that he said, if you go to Japan or South Korea or China, or Germany, you're not going to see any American cars because they won't let them in. Now, you can get a little chart and say, oh, it's not 40%, it's really 8%. But the regulations that these people put on American products to get in makes it impossible. And then some European nations slap a VAT tax on there. That doesn't come under the tariff umbrella. So Trump is right. We're getting hosed. Mm-hmm.
Bill O'Reilly is correct. We are getting hosed, but here's the opposing view. Democrats believe in, just like Chris Cuomo believes, that the president doesn't know what he's doing. He's taking a guess. All right. He has no understanding of tariffs. And my only pushback to them would be this. Then what's your solution? What's your plan B? What have you guys done over the past decade to solve this problem? And of course, they don't have an answer. And that's where my main point is if you don't have a solution, just sit down. Stop trying to criticize someone who's come up with a plan. No matter how stupid you may think the plan is, at least there is a plan that is being executed. And that's what frustrates me about what Rand Paul did and the other 3 GOP senators that have passed a resolution to prevent Trump from placing tariffs on Canada. Now, here is Cory Booker celebrating that.
Frankly, thank you, Rand Paul, for testing it and getting 4 Republicans to join with Democrats and say, you know, Canada has stood with us in every war since the War of 1812. They've bled by us. They are one of our top trading partners. Our economies are intricately interwoven. Many products Americans have crossed that border multiple times to help us to both have a stronger economy. So those two join together. This is the numbers. We did it with John McCain and Murkowski and Collins in the first Trump administration to push back on their attempt to tear down the ACA from 20 million people. We showed that we can appeal to the conscience of our country and to the Republicans here to say enough is enough. And the numbers here are clear. We need 3 in the House to stand against this president and his hurtful and harmful policies, or 4 in the Senate.
Okay, let me just take a moment because I have something special I want to share with you guys. This right here in front of you is called Blackout Coffee, okay? This is the first coffee brand that I've chosen to actually partner with because you know I'm obsessed with coffee, but let me explain to you why. It's a bold, premium, small batch, America First coffee that's brewed right here in the USA. So whether you're grinding through the early mornings like me, long nights like me, or just need the extra jolt of energy, Blackout Coffee has you covered. From rich, dark roast to cold, ready-to-drink options, everything they make is built to fuel patriots. Here is the most important part. For every bag you buy, they send 2 cups of coffee to active duty military members. And as a thank you for joining the movement, they're giving my listeners 20% off their first order. All you have to do is go to blackoutcoffee.com/Devori or use promo code Devori. Again, that is blackoutcoffee.com/Devori. Now, the good news is there are American companies that have been reacting to this tariff announcement in a positive way. Listen to this huge announcement from Ford Motor Company and what they plan to do for their customers. Take a look.
Exactly right. For the next couple of months, we're going to offer our customers the same deal that our employees get. And as you say, that's worth thousands of dollars. You come into our store, you get employee pricing. This is kind of to call a little bit of a timeout. We've heard some uncertainty from our customers, and we want them to be assured that Ford, the most American auto company, is going to do right by them, as are our dealers. We make the most cars here. We employ the most. We export the most. And so we here at Ford, we're in a good position to address customers' concern and give them a really great deal on a great vehicle.
So that's great.
Yeah, but here's the truth, okay? And the reason why Ford is speaking this way is because they're capitalizing on the moment, okay? The top 3 American car manufacturers that make their cars here in America is Tesla first, Rivian second, and then Ford. So it makes sense that they're saying this because it really isn't going to hurt them, okay? Now, if you're talking Jaguar, Land Rover, right, Volvo, yeah, those companies are going to have to rethink things at this point. But American-made manufacturers, they're good. They're actually loving this. Now, the people who don't love this are people who want predictability. Now, the people who don't love this are people who want stability. They want to be able to predict things. And that's Wall Street. So, of course, they don't like when things change so quickly. Now, again, if you have your investor hat on, you love it because you could buy shares at a low price right now, and you know they're going to go up. But here is the message from, again, she is a liberal. I know you guys try to argue with me in the comments, and I'm going to show you proof why she is one, supporting this move from President Trump.
Let's be clear about what we're seeing right now. This market sell-off is Wall Street trying to short President Trump's agenda. They are betting against the American worker. It's utterly despicable. Instead of doing what President Trump is doing, which is saying we're going to invest heavily in our middle class. We are no longer going to be a country in which our economy is an upward funnel of wealth from the hardest working Americans into the pockets of the international global elites. Wall Street is trying to control the president's agenda with this totally anti-American sell-off. And I think it's unbelievable that the president is not caving and that he is standing strong with the agenda that he promised the American people. This is what he was given a mandate to do. And it is so exciting to see somebody actually make good on the promises they made to the American people.
Now, if you want to argue against her point, go right on ahead. I just don't think it's going to relate to the average American out there. Now, here is her actual post in the Free Press. She's a columnist for them, where she said, "I used to hate Trump. Now I'm a MAGA lefty." So for the people in my comment section that were crying and saying, "Oh, she's not a lefty." Yeah, she is, folks. We have to understand that the MAGA base is a huge coalition. You've got independents, you've got Democrats, Republicans, conservatives. So I think it just proves that the policies that President Trump is pushing is really rooted in common sense. All right, so now we move to our third story, and this is actually breaking news. It is being confirmed that the White House has fired 3 National Security Council staffers after President Trump has met with Laura Loomer. Now, understand the context here. Remember, the Signal Gate is still a story. It's still flying under the radar. The White House has said, hey, case is closed. However, it seems to me that Laura Loomer was able to dig up information that maybe the administration didn't even spend time doing, and she presented those findings to President Trump, and it resulted in these staffers being fired. Now, of course, other people believe that Mike Waltz will be fired. It's just a matter of when. Now, obviously, we'll see if that actually takes place. And the individuals that were fired were Brian Walsh, Thomas Boutry, and David Feith. This was a direct result of the meeting, though Wong's future remains uncertain. And Alex Wong is the guy who actually put the chat group together. So here's my question for Democrats. Now that you see people being fired, will that be good enough for you? Because I know you guys are claiming that, hey, someone needs to be fired, even though you guys didn't fire anybody over that disaster Afghanistan withdrawal. But hey, whatever, right? We're here now. Will this satisfy you? And since we're talking about Democrats, this next story won't surprise you. They are suing the Trump administration over voter ID laws. Okay. We know that the Wisconsin election, people have spoken. Voter ID is now going to be a part of their elections. And as a result, the DNC is now suing Trump. Take a look.
Democrats are stepping up their opposition against President Trump's recent executive order that overhauled the election system, and they're filing a lawsuit claiming his move is unconstitutional. So let's check in with our Fox News legal editor, Carrie Urban. Great to have you here. Here's a breakdown of what Trump's EO said. Proof of citizenship required for voter registration. No counting votes received after Election Day. Federal funds for elections conditioned on compliance with the rules, and review of voting systems against new standards, and the AG and states must share information. What are the Democrats objecting to?
Yeah, it's a bit unclear to me, because if we start with the basics, it's a crime for a non-citizen to vote. And so requiring proof of citizenship on a registration form is completely consistent with federal law.
And here's the actual document showing that the DNC, and particularly Chuck Schumer and Hakeem Jeffries, suing President Trump. Now, what's fascinating about all this is voters overwhelmingly support voter ID. When we looked at the election last year, the states that did not have voter ID laws were states that Kamala Harris won. The states that did have voter ID laws, President Trump won. Now, I think that's bigger than a coincidence, people. So it's interesting that they are actually trying to do this. And here is Hakeem Jeffries' message about all this.
In that referendum in Wisconsin, then you should have brought the SAVE Act, which is a voter suppression bill that we strongly oppose, to the floor this week. You could have done it. You could have done it today. You could do it tomorrow. We dare you to bring the SAVE Act to the floor. We'll have that discussion. That's voter suppression.
That's exactly what Democrats call it, voter suppression. But let me read you this headline from Democracy Docket. Republicans are pushing for a proof of citizenship requirement to serve their own ends while perpetrating harmful myths about non-citizen voting. Here's my only question. If you Democrats believe that non-citizens are not voting, then what's the issue? Why are you fighting Trump on this? It's 80-20 once again. Overwhelmingly, the American people support this type of policy. All right, so let me get your response in the comment section to the first story we talked about in this video, which is the fake news story about Elon Musk. I mean, why does the media continue to do it? Let me hear your reaction in the comment section below. Now, after President Trump made that historic speech about tariffs, also known as Liberation Day, 4 GOP senators stabbed him in the back by siding with Democrats to rebuke his tariffs on Canada. If you missed out on that story and more from yesterday, all you have to do is click on it because it's coming up right now.